Morning. We are here. I'm back in the workshop, just doing some new work and new designs, getting ready for the next festival. So just put a piece of silver down. I don't know where it went. Anyway, so after all these years, wear glasses, which I guess was inevitable at some point, because my eyes, when it's close up, aren't really as good as they used to be. I can't see the little teeth on this little saw blade, but these help for now. So I know at the moment I have two daughters, one a teenager, one that's now 21. And you meet a lot of their friends, and kids come stay for the day, or they have days out. It seems like a lot of the kids now seem to be suffering with anxiety or some kind of, I guess it's a mental health problem. That's how it's labelled. And I know it's quite easy to think, did that affect me when I was a kid? Were the kids around me experiencing that? Was it a time when kids didn't talk about that? I think it's very difficult for. I'm 51, and I think it's difficult sometimes for my generation and people like me to perhaps understand it fully, because of the magnitude of it, because of the numbers that seem to be almost overwhelming in that at the moment, as far as mental health issues are concerned with kids. I know when, perhaps a lot of my generation say, oh, we were out all the time, we were playing, and we never had time for anything like that. We were always out on our bikes or fishing. I used to do a lot of fishing when I was a kid, or playing outside in the fields, or I don't think we were exposed to the same kind of technology. And I think the truth is that it is that a large part of it is the exposure to ideals and the exposure to images and consumable products that can be way out of reach of everyday people's grasp. Or your body isn't right, your face isn't right, your trainers aren't right, your phone isn't right, your car isn't right when you get to that age, and people are gonna laugh at me, I'm gonna be ridiculed. Or actually, because everything is so magnified and under such scrutiny because of social media, if I was a detective and I had to do some investigation and think, well, what's different, I suppose that I would look at some of the biggest factors that take part in young people's lives is walking around with that machine in their hands. I'm sure it has amazing uses. It does some brilliant things, it can help you with study, can keep you safe sometimes, you can be in touch with people, but obviously that isn't the whole package. The whole package is a vast, almost endless universe of information. And you can say, well, it's all how you perceive that information, but for a young mind, sometimes it's difficult to translate that information in a way that doesn't affect them in a socialized image-based idea that they and you and most people carry about what they perceive to be themselves, which is this. I think it takes a lot to understand that. I think my advice would be to anybody that is feeling an overwhelming sense of being overwhelmed because of a million different things, because of possibly social media, let's use that one. There's lots of others, but it all comes down, I suppose, to the judgment of your perceived sense of self and the judgment of this is a good or bad situation. Always giving something a label is to just see it. Is when it starts, let's call it a dark cloud, when that dark cloud starts to float over you, identify it as something between your ears that is external and not the reality of what you are. I know that sounds really easy to do, doesn't it? But look at it. Imagine that what you are is the person holding the microscope, and what the negativity is, or the fear of judgment, the fear of not being good enough is the insect underneath the microscope, the magnifying glass. And look at it. See it for what it is. See it for sounds between your ears. And even though in the beginning you'll think that that is a futile and useless exercise, what you'll find is over time, the more you identify it as nothing more than sounds between your ears and you see it, the more you'll begin to get in touch with that witnesser, and that witnesser is what you truly are. I know as I'm saying this that words are easy to say. I know that. I know it's easy to hear somebody say that and you think, but to do that I suffer with depression or anxiety, or I think that the fighting of it and the labelling it as bad is also another type of fuel for it to thrive upon, because obviously then you're labelling something as negative and then you're putting more things in the negative box. Realise that what you are is separate from the essence of the truth of you, is completely separate from the thoughts between your ears, and you are not your thoughts. You came before thought. There's millions and millions of people out there that are there to help other people, and there's millions of good people out there. And even if it was a tiny step of reaching out to people and asking to talk, or giving yourself breaks, getting out in nature, walking in a field, walking in a forest, just walking wherever you are and identifying that thing that's going on in your mind only, and looking around and saying, well, externally this is normal. If I was sat on a bus and driving by and somebody saw me on the bus, all they'd see is another human. They wouldn't see somebody that was suffering in their mind at that moment. They'd just see another human, and that's it. That's them looking through the microscope at something. Bring that around. Identify as the self-witness, the person that witnesses the turmoil and the dark cloud that's going round. So I wrote this, and this is my thought on it. It's for people. It's called To Those Who Suffer. So I write all the time. Whether you like it or not, I don't know. Whether you perceive it as good or bad, I don't know. I just write it. It is what it is. So it's called To Those Who Suffer. Anxiety The untold me a feeling I'd rather flush down the lavatory. I wake up, toast up, tea up, then boom, the invisible hand fills the room, an eyeless master, a faceless harbinger of doom. Sauron-type vibes filling over sudden gloom. Nervousness, I wish I could say I didn't care less, but the smog and the fog of these revolving mirrors steam and only seem to bring stress. They're always a no and never a yes. Am I worth another day? I can't stop believing that every time I open my eyes I'll be tied to the same hell-bound sleigh. To be honest, at the moment there seems to be no other way. Every day, just one glimmer of light that could charge me, pull me up and stop the fight, stop the revenging mind, cleaving plight. Stop the thoughts going over and over, stop the thoughts, the sounds going over and over and over, despair, deceit, revenge. In the dark, heavenly waves, I hold up my hand through the thick surface, clawing, wanting to feel that saving life raft. A hand in the dark, to stop the high-pitched tone, to stop the sense of being completely feeling all alone. But I just sink and moan. A small light, a tiny delicate glimmer, a sense of fresh air down the shaft, diamonds in the cold face, a fresh seam of hope minded from endless effort, being pulled from the turbulent seas. I suddenly hear the voices and make fresh choices. I am loved, I am accepted, known as one of the good guys. My father tells me he loves me. So, there's so much good out there. There's so much beauty out there. There's pleasure in some of the most tiny things. See it, begin to see it, begin to know that this moment now is fine. That's a massive thing, to just be in this moment right now and just ask yourself honestly, is what I am thinking, these dark clouds, are they real right now? Is the tiger really in the room when really you just lay in your comfy bed and it's 3 a.m. in the morning and it's just... There's so much good. What did he say? Don't believe the hype. That is so true. Media is adept at churning out negativity and rubbish. In fact, turn it off. If you've got a TV, well, it's your choice, but there's so much beauty out there. So all the best, and just know that this is a beautiful experience.